Women are not.
Young men have fallen faster than any demographic in America over the last 40 years.
It's a different world now. Like, we don't need men the way that they used to.
The future is female.
Men and women are drifting further apart, and society is crumbling because of it.
A fascinating debate has broken out about the value of marriage.
You've kind of got the trad con versus red pill thing. This men's rights crowd that sometimes just goes too far the other way.
You need to stop acting like grown boys and infants and actually become men.
Marriage is a bond, and it's a sacred bond.
It's a machine designed to extract resources from you.
Now many of the red-pilled have taken the position that it's bad for men to get married.
Hannah Pearl Davis, or just Pearly things.
One of the most controversial faces in all of the internet.
She goes on to say that marriage is a terrible deal for men.
Because if me and you were in a business contract, you would never sign a contract where I am paid to leave.
Gee, what could go wrong there?
74% or something of divorces are initiated by women. Men have everything to lose, primarily their own children.
Men get killed by the courts and by divorce laws.
I had no idea that courts of family law were courts of equity, not courts of law.
Because in family court, you don't need evidence to accuse someone of abuse. You need no evidence. When you guys say get married young, a lot of these men don't know what they're signing up for, and you're not going to be there when their entire life falls apart. I interview them on the other side.
I didn't meet my son until he was 15 months old.
How much did you spend trying to get him back?
On legal fees alone was about $200,000.
Before you know it, you're homeless. You're literally just thrown out onto the street.
We absolutely reinforce bad behavior from women.
Wives are taught to leave their husbands, and then daughters grow up without their fathers.
Family is the foundation of society.
Every problem in society comes from single mother homes.
A lot of women will just chase this negative rabbit hole of happiness, endless happiness.
Feminism's biggest failures is it lies to women. We tell women to date as many guys as possible. We tell them to put off family into marriage.
You are allowed to leave your perfect husband. You are allowed to end a relationship with a really great boyfriend.
Oh, freeze your eggs, have an abortion. What? You're evil.
I don't think there's anything else in life that we actually ever go into preparing to fail.
Right.
Like if you have the mentality of this is going to go wrong and be pessimistic, naturally the outcome is going to be that it's going to fail anyway. Yeah. It's self-sabotage.
And that's the thing, like women are so willing to leave marriages because they're not happy. This is not about happiness. The most important thing is the children. And the problem is we have a modern society where it's me, my feelings, leave when I feel like it, instead of doing what's best for the kids.
This myth that we live in an age of male privilege. Where's my male privilege?
They think, well, men have all the rights. They have all the power.
Privileged patriarchal system that we have.
Why doesn't our society care about men's rights?
I have no friends, no wife, and no social life.
Men are alone in this situation. Men are homeless. Men are thinking about eating guns.
I've seen so many men on the brink of suicide and they didn't do anything wrong.
How are you equal if the men are the ones that have to fight and die to defend the country? The men are the ones that build and maintain all the infrastructure.
Women are helplessly dependent upon men.
The so-called deaths of despair from suicide, overdose, or alcohol, 3 times higher among men than among women.
Culture is telling men, you are no good.
You got to get your act together.
I think men have failed themselves.
What kind of a man are you? What kind of a woman are you going to attract?
If men are in trouble, so are women.
Everybody knows this is a huge problem, but nobody wants to admit it.
Every single woman at the table said they wanted a man.
500K,
500K,
200K,
300K,
200K.
Am I crazy?
Everything is really set up against you to fail as a man.
If men make less than women, women don't want to marry them.
So you know who wants more economically and emotionally viable men? Women.
I don't want to be an independent woman anymore.
I don't want to be a strong, independent woman. I'm over it.
When is it going to be my turn? Where are we meeting the men that don't stop?
I can't keep having these same conversations.
The only simp here is you, Pearl. You simp for men.
I think you simp for women.
She's a provocateur. She says stupid stuff, but Pearl is right about this.
It's already happening. It's just not out in the open yet.
Now it's just hookup culture is going to be our fairy tale ending because men don't want a wife and women can't find a husband. The future, if everybody follows your path, is there is no future.
We go into population decline and our economy goes into decline.
Civilization will crumble.
The American story does not end well. This is an existential crisis failing young men.
So that was our documentary trailer for the documentary What's in It for Men. where we explore the question of what is society giving men in return for getting married, for serving in the military, and for other things that society shames men for not doing. So if you guys want to donate, we can get this thing done for around 100K. So feel free. We're at about $25,000, which is amazing. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for donating. But we do have to get close to roughly $100,000 if we want to complete the documentary. So if you want to donate privately, email me just pearlythings@gmail.com. Okay, so today we're talking about corn stars, okay? As you guys know, I have been on a crusade. Actually, let me take these off. I have been on a crusade against fake tradcon women. I would argue that fake tradcon women are worse than feminists. Lefty feminists are easily identifiable. They have tattoos, purple hairs, piercings, and mean looks on their faces. But tradcon women, not so much. Fake tradcon women, they look all normal, they talk all normal, but underneath it all, they're feminists. It's even worse because they have this nice voice. And then it's like you want to be a bitch to me with a nice voice. And I don't appreciate that. You might as well just start yelling, okay? So fake tradcon women look like normal women. They talk like normal women, but underneath it all, they're feminists who put their own selfish desires over God, marriage, and family. Close your eyes and think about the type of rhetoric you hear coming from feminists and fake tradcons, and it all sounds the same. Fake tradcons will do anything to push their closest feminist agenda, with the ultimate example of being accepting women, of this being accepting women that are complete whores into their circles and churches. Now, here on Pearl Daily, I always say that the church is the last stop on the whore train. OF whores, sex workers, and all the rest of the women that make horrible personal choices always end up in church when the parties have been over. They've been dug out by Chad, Tyrone, and Enrique, and now they've found a way to absolve themselves of having to be accountable for that behavior. It's super easy. Like, if you think about it, it's really smart. They just say, oops, I'm sorry. You know what this reminds me of? Oh, what is that? What is that? Blue Mountain State sex with girl in I want to show you guys a video clip that this reminds me of. Oh, it's so funny. I'm gonna look for it in a second. But if you look up Doug MPA, if you could find the Blue Mountain State, I just thought of it when I was talking, where it's like the guy hooks up with the girl in the confessional. If you look that up, it should come up. Anyway, so these tradcons welcome these 304s with open arms and tout their journey all over social media for clout. Either not knowing or not caring, they're destroying the image and the integrity of their churches and their ministries. Men are leaving the churches in droves because of things like this. Guys, what benefit is it for you in 2025 to go to church, especially when it comes with the guidance and facilitation of finding a virtuous woman, whatever that means, and having a family? Churches accepting whores and whores preaching religion is probably the biggest grift in modern day. So let's see Charlie Kirk and Nala we got going on. So as you guys know, Nala, this Christian woman, right? I said I didn't believe her conversion. This bitch tried to sue me. She tried to drag me to court and say, what kind of conservative woman is doing that? She sent me a cease and desist. I told her to take her cease and desist and shove it up her ass. Yeah, we'll see what's next. Here we go.
Crazy amounts of money showing.
Okay, wait.
I started making crazy amounts of money showing my body online and exploiting myself. It's truly online profit.
How do you exploit yourself? How are you? Do you know what I mean? At first it was the men exploited me, but then when it's women posting themselves on the internet, they still can't blame themselves for their poor choices, so they still got to blame the men. They still do. How do you? I exploited myself by making millions of dollars by posting pictures of my butthole and getting banged out, getting tag teamed on camera.
Prostitution. And then my family completely disowned me. Like my mom, all my siblings,
I would too. I would too. I would love to disown you. Say, well, If I have a daughter someday and she decides to do corn, which, by the way, if I do have a daughter and she does decide to do corn and everyone wants to say, ha, 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 I already told you women are hoes. You can't, if your kid does it, you can't stop them. Everyone wants to blame the parents. She had like a pastor as a dad, you know.
Dad was the only one that hung on, but for a really bad reason. He was just like, begging me for like money all the time. So that was the only relationship I had with.
So I wonder what actually happened. She says he was begging her for money all the time. I wonder what the actual thing. They said my daughter wouldn't do something like that if I had a daughter. I don't know. You can't, I'm telling you, when a kid wants to, you don't know what kind of kid you're going to get, you know. The only visible change is the hair color. She's still using her corn name.
My father was him supporting me doing porn online and then taking my money.
And since then, you know, you've had this come to Jesus moment where now you are more aligned with your faith. And walk us through, what was your breaking point? You know, the steps you took to come out of such a toxic environment, because you were obviously sold an idea that really ended up being something that it's just completely different than.
Absolutely. Like the whole girlfriend experience is what OnlyFans loves to sell, is that, you know, you're talking to your dream girl. It's like the girl next door. It's not that at all. You're literally talking to a middle-aged man on a.
So I committed fraud is what she's saying. And I'm going to blame the customer that was frauded.
Computer, like that is your chatters. So it's such a lie. And that is what sin is. It is dark and it's a lie and it hides.
But what clicked for you? What was your turning point, essentially?
So I actually met my husband now. His name is Jordan. Truly the love of my life.
You know, she's still got her shoulders out. Now, I'm not a stickler. I don't really care. But if you're going to proclaim the Christianity thing, in Catholic school, we had to put our shoulders away. I expect you to be dressing just as modest as I had to in Catholic school.
He encouraged me. Like when I first met him, this man was talking so highly about who Christ is and showed that love. And in 5 years, I hadn't had one Christian reach out to me while I was on OnlyFans doing what I was doing.
I hadn't had one Christian reach out to you. I wouldn't want to reach out to you either, because I don't care. I don't. If you want to live in sin, I got better things to do than worry about you, lady.
Show the love of Christ in my life. And he did. He treated me with so much respect and God's love. He was just my friend for the longest time until we ended up getting married after I got off of OnlyFans. But I was so intrigued by how this man loved God with everything inside of him. And it encouraged me so much. And I stopped doing OnlyFans, gave my life to God, deleted my OnlyFans, took off every promiscuous post off my Instagram, Facebook. I deleted my entire Twitter. And I was so happy.
I think she deleted her Twitter because I was on there. Okay, so now you got, oh, thank you. So this is what churches now remind me of. Thank you. I used to love Blue Mountain State. This is such a funny series.
I can't believe we're wasting prime drinking hours going to church.
Moran's right. Whole religion thinks a crock of shit. God probably doesn't even exist.
Oh, I love Jesus. He let you do whatever you want to do. All you got to do is apologize after.
So it's funny because this guy does like a ton of drugs. He's a big womanizer in the show. And he says, Jesus lets you do whatever you want to do. You just got to say sorry after.
You know, I really don't think that's how this works, right? Oh, hey, listen, trust me, it is. When I was 10 years old, I burned down my neighbor's house. My mom made me go see the priest. The priest told me all I had to do was apologize to Jesus, and that'll be that. I've been a believer ever since, baby. Jesus!
Oh, my God.
Crock of shit, Moran.
Mr. Castle, can you give us a few words about the game on Saturday?
Yes. But first, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior for making me such an awesome football player. In the name of the Father and Mother and both of their sons.
We are so excited that Coach Daniels and the Mountain Goats have agreed to play us in a good old-fashioned game of charity touch football. Thanks to their kindness, we'll finally have the money we need to complete our church's renovations. So God bless Coach Daniels. God bless the Goats, and God bless the entire BMS football program.
So he's banging the girl at the confessional.
It's purity. Pure as the day is long, ladies and gentlemen. That's how we have to be. Much as a football player has to be pure of mind to get through that game. Sorry, Jesus.
I'm so sorry, Jesus.
We as followers of the Lord have to be pure in spirit, Jesus, in order to get.
Thank you. That's what Christianity reminds me of nowadays. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here are the women co-signing Nala becoming a Christian. And again, you can kind of see what women did in their past by what they defend.
Nala Ray is a perfect example of you're never too far gone. If you don't know who Nala Ray is, or if you don't know what I mean, Nala is a beautiful woman who used to make explicit content online. And she found God. And after finding God, she stopped posting content online. And she deleted everything across all of her platforms. And now she preaches the gospel on her social media. And I think this is beautiful because if you look online, she does have content with the Whatever podcast. So
Now, to be fair, do I think there are genuine conversions? Yeah. But I don't think people that genuinely convert are building a brand off of Jesus and trying to cash in on Jesus.
Can't see that clear.
Yeah, I know. And she never, I want to be careful with my words. At the time of the interview, when she first came out and said she had found God, she still had her OnlyFans up. And she just kind of kept giving every excuse in the book as to why it was not gone.
Can see that clear difference of who she was and who she is now. And just watching her testimony and knowing that she could do all that and still find God and be redeemed and be saved is just so beautiful because you never have to sit.
Because you get a get out of jail free card. Yeah.
And be redeemed and be saved is just so beautiful because you never have to sit around feeling like, you know, God's not going to love you or God's not going to accept you where you are. But the thing is God will always take you where you are. You do not have to change who you are in that moment to be accepted by God. God will come to you and change your heart so that you can be more like him. This really resonates with me because I actually found God after I got pregnant outside of marriage.
Of course you did. And now you want to get married, don't you?
Wouldn't love me because I just had a child outside of marriage. But I pursued that relationship and I feel like I'm a better person and a better mother now because of it. And I'm so glad that I made that decision and that I found God and I chased after him because if I didn't, who knows where I would be or who knows what kind of mother I would be because I didn't have a great one growing up. I also felt like people would judge me because I have a child outside of marriage and they do. But I know that God's love for me is greater than other people's hate for me. So I'm going to continue to love God and follow God and preach the gospel as well. And I just want to say that I'm so proud of her for fully stepping into that and being so open about it and loving towards others in regards to spreading the gospel because, you know, it's hard. The amount of backlash that you receive spreading the gospel and trying to spread love through Christ is hard. And the world will attack you for it. And I just wanted to say that I'm so proud of her and her testimony and just where she is right now. And
it's so easy. It's like no work. Doug MPA, feel free to message Reclaim Your Throne on Instagram or Twitter. He had a lot to say on this. Actually, I might. If you don't have his socials, I'll message him, see what he says.
And never forget, guys.
It'd be good to have him call in.
And never forget, guys, you are never too far gone. You can always find God and you can always be redeemed and you can always be saved. And Jesus.
And I agree. I don't think you're ever too far gone, but at some point, people's patterns, they have a tendency to repeat. So I think we got to have like a vetting period for a long time, especially if they're really far gone. You know, the same way I don't really want
I don't really want to live next door to the Wolf of Wall Street because that guy who did the whole get better thing.
You no matter where you are. But don't just sit with that. Don't say God loves me so I can do whatever I can.
Yeah, okay. Let's see who's next. Nala talking about her transformation. Think about all the wives and mothers they could have had.
Meeting Christ changed me, period. Like nothing having to do with my age, or I was making mass amounts of money. I was at the peak of my career. So a lot of people would love to say like my haters, or like I like to say like my biggest fans, were just kind of like hate.
Notice how everything she's talking, it's about her. It's not about God. It's, oh, my haters.
Being used up, and I hit my point, my peak in life, and now I just needed to give my life to God and go be a traditional wife. And that was absolutely not the case. God met me where I was in my situation while I was making millions of dollars. Who in this crowd or even in the entire world would give up making that kind of money to serve God and live in uncertainty?
But you didn't return the money.
Mainly just because God changed my entire life and like let me feel a love that I've never felt between parents, friends, anyone in my life had showed me that unconditional love.
Okay. But notice it's never about serving the community. It's always about what she gets out of it. Okay, Nala talking about believing in Christ. So remember, for those of you, some of you haven't followed this.
Oh my God.
She was a porn star. Now she's doing the, oh, I found God grift.
Like, it's crazy. Like, what God can do with someone like me.
I love cheating. It's actually my biggest fantasy.
Like, dude, it's crazy.
It's the unlikely. We were just talking about that with the story of David. Like, he chooses the one.
You're so stupid, dude.
Story of David, like, he chooses the one that no one else chooses. The one that...
I know, imagine being a girl who did everything right, and yet they reward Nala.
Samuel says, hey, I'm gonna come and anoint the king. They don't even bring David. He's not even invited. Like, he's literally kicked to the curb. But Samuel said, nah, the king isn't here. Bring him. Bring your other son. And I just believe that's the same thing that the Lord did in your story, which is so cool. Like, you felt so overlooked for so long by everyone else, but all along the Lord just wanted you.
And this is the Jesus grift. Nala talking about not wanting to give away her OnlyFans money. Okay.
People are going to hate me for saying this, but just listen, okay? Just listen. Giving away all the money that you made doing sinful acts does not make you a Christian. I have so many people in my comments just telling me that they'll only believe me that I'm a...
Yeah, I'll believe you when you give back the money.
I gave away all the sinful money I made doing porn. See, from what I know is from Romans 10:9, the Bible, it says that if you declare with your mouth and you believe in your heart that Jesus Christ died on the cross for your sins, then you will.
Right, but how do we know you believe? Words or actions? And by the way, not doing OnlyFans isn't being a good person. It's just not doing something. It's pretty easy. Like, I was thinking about this the other day. I think we give virgins too much credit. Like, I'll hear virgin women talk and they're like, oh, being a virgin was the hardest thing ever. And I'm like, you didn't climb Mount Everest. You just didn't do it. You know what I mean? And you're goofy, Pearl. Everyone's welcome to church. Well, you can call in and tell me that. I would like to see less people in church. I would. I don't, and I'm not even saying I should be allowed in church, right? But I know she definitely shouldn't be allowed in church. I think churches, they need to be like men. They should raise their standards.
That is all it requires to become a Christian and to blah, blah, blah.
So this is, again, she wants to do no work and get the virtue signaling points about being a Christian. So she wants to go around, tell everyone that she's really holy and Christian, without doing any work of like being a better person.
You're not a Christian and blah, 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 blah. No, it has nothing to do with your standards on my walk with God. It has everything to do with my standards with walking with God.
So when you're done judging, when you're finished, when you can get to this point of peace where you're like, oh, maybe it doesn't involve selling all your belongings, wearing different makeup, coloring your hair a different color, going natural completely. That has nothing to do with being a Christian. Literally nothing to do with being a Christian. So I don't understand it. Why there's still people out there hating on me for turning to Christ, but then also being like, did you give away all your money? No. I didn't have money to come back with because I owed so much in taxes, but well, that's another story. But anyway, stop. Stop.
No, I won't stop.
Anyway, stop. Stop.
I won't stop. I'll keep going, bitch. Nala, you're welcome to... She said she'd debate me. Let me message her again. Let me see.
Anyway, stop. Stop. It's so annoying. And it shows your true character. If you're saying you're a Christian and then you're judging me for having some form of money.
Oh my God. The porn star. The porn star is lecturing us about not having character. Oh my gosh. And it's so disheartening. I can't find her Instagram. It's so disheartening because I don't like titles. I don't like calling myself or calling other people good people or bad people, or saying you're a Christian or you're like, I don't like identifying with a title, because I'd rather just people see, they can judge if I'm a good person or not through my actions. So they could just make the judgment. And for her, I just don't see it with her actions. I don't see humility. I think if she really was sorry, she wouldn't be lecturing everybody who questions her, but she would come with a lot more humble of a spirit instead of this naggy approach.
Money after I did porn, like I'd made money doing porn. So it's like, listen, if you work a 9-to-5 job and your boss hands you a check for what you made that week or that bi-weekly check, do you turn around and then hand them the check back and are like, oh, here's my money back because this is what says I'm a Christian? No. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah. So now she's saying, she's trying to compare it to a 9-to-5 job. They always do. Whether or not she's allowed in church should be biblically determined as opposed to the court of public opinion. That said, most people attending church are going to burst in hell wide open anyways. Hey, look I'm not a Bible thumper. But I'll say this. You guys letting everybody in church has ruined your churches. It truly has. You've let everybody in, require no barrier of entry, and now your churches are ruined. Let's see what this girl says. Oh, here's another. I encountered Jesus in the strip club.
At 29, I'm dancing on stage, and as I'm dancing, my song completely stopped, and I heard a worship song playing.
What's gonna be my come to Jesus moment? So I was just hating on women. And then all of a sudden I saw God during one of my podcasts. And I had a come to Jesus moment.
Song playing. I look at the DJ and he's kind of giving me a thumbs up, like I'm doing a good job, But I'm very puzzled because I'm like, why would he do that to me? I felt so humiliated. Yeah. And then I go like this to him, stop, And he's giving me a thumbs up, no, you're doing good, And there's this confusion. But then moments later, I hear my song being played again. And I'm thinking, why is he doing that to me? Yeah. But then I realized, oh, wait a minute, he's not doing anything. I'm actually audibly hearing a worship song supernaturally. One of the passages that I was reading for 2 years.
Yeah, these women that hear voices, they're just crazy. God's not talking to them. They're just nuts.
One of the passages that I was reading for 2 years, you were purchased for a price, therefore honor me with your body, literally pierced my heart. And I said, oh my goodness, Lord, you're here, with me, you're speaking to me here, in the club,
Yeah. All right. Who's next? We got another OF model that So, by the way, guys, we're gonna do a call-in show. Would you let a former corn star in your church? If so, would there be a vetting process? What would it be? We're gonna put the link in the chat now, and you guys can call in. I'm gonna watch this last video, but I'd love to hear from you guys. Even if you disagree, guys, I don't bite. This is not a debate show anymore. We can go back and forth, but I'm not trying to get gotcha moments. We just want to have a conversation here. Conversations here. Okay, wait. Oh, wait, let me turn the sound on.
Devoted my life to God, honestly.
Means I'll never get that lap dance we talked about?
No, I have devoted my life to God, honestly.
You were such a fun girl.
I know.
And this guy who fell asleep on your bed, you met him where? In a strip club?
No, he was in a casino. I was playing roulette, and he came up to me. He said, I want to have a conversation with you. So we did.
You told me to get in line?
Well, I'm dressing for God. I'm dressing for Christ. I'm dressing like I'm going to church. But I found out what I really like is, one, spreading the word of the Bible, helping other people.
They love spreading the word, and they love feeling like they did something. So they love helping other hoes just not be hoes. But again, like, okay, I'm going to give you guys an example of doing something that shows me you're a good person. So there's like not doing bad things, and there's doing good things. So, for example, I talk about him a lot. One of the best people I know on the planet, the saint. It's my father, really the best person in the whole world. And I wish, and if you guys met my dad, just being around him, like, you would just see how good of a person he is. And he never calls himself a good person. But good people, you always hear about things they did for other people, but not from them. And like one time my dad, a former employee of his, he packed up their stuff himself and helped this employee move like 8 hours and never talked about it, helped this couple move. And he spent like an entire day. And anyone that knows my dad knows that's just the type of person he is. Like he'll help you do whatever. He'll never hold it over your head. Like he's just a very giving, kind person. Do you think these hoes could go to a mission for a week and like get down and dirty, doing physical labor, helping someone for nothing in return? No. All they can do is talk. Annoying.
And going to church. So
would I prefer Nala's still a hoe? Yeah, it's more honest. Because I actually think what she's doing is worse. Because it turns it into a performance. And like my dad, again, all of the best, and this is something that kind of made me, religion's such a touchy topic, but it was so disheartening that all of the best people I knew, like the kindest, most good, like people, weren't that religious. And it just seemed like the more religious someone was, like it would almost for me be like an inverse correlation. Like, and I'm not saying I've never met, because I've met some pretty good religious people too, but because the religion, it just builds their ego. So they think they're good people without doing any work to be a good person. And that was pretty like disheartening, you know? So I'm going to just keep watching. Like, I would rather you not call yourself anything. Like, why do you need to call yourself anything? You can like say you believe in God and act as if, but why do you have to like virtue signal and draw all this attention to yourself instead of letting your like actions and the test of time speak for yourself? Like, that's what my dad does. And he's the best person I've ever met. Yeah. And the thing is, like, when you're around really good people like that, they don't talk about how good of a person and the good things that they do. They just do it. They just do the good thing.
And if I could just help people, like any kids, like find God or just find what the right things to do are and just go down the right path in life, then that's all I want to do. That's what really fulfills me.
Do I think people can change? Yeah, but I need evidence. I'm not against, and guys, call in, so the questions we have today: would you allow sex workers in your church? Do you think sex workers in church devalue the integrity of the church? Like, if I went into a church and saw 50% sex workers, I'm walking right out as a sane person. And I want to talk about the sentiment, because when I was 18, I went to Italy, and it was so warm outside that I was in, your typical like walking around stuff. Jean shorts, shirt, and tennis shoes. And I walked into, because, I was there as a tourist. I wasn't really trying to go to pray. And I walked into a church there, and it was a Catholic church. And the priest looked at what I was wearing, and he said, like, he waved at me to get out. And I wasn't offended. I just went, and I was like, oh, he's probably right. I should go change. I liked that mentality. And I'd like to wave the sex workers out and say, hey, you got to do some work other than just not doing porn isn't doing good. Like, if they went and did a mission trip for 6 months, were hard labor for 6 months, unpaid, I would believe them. I would be more inclined to anyway. But there's no barrier of entry. And like what you guys are doing is you're giving them the virtue signal points and the good people points without having them do it. It's like the same thing when you guys give away your commitment for nothing. So the other question is, do you think sex workers in church devalue the integrity of the church? And what does a sex worker have to do to show that she is committed to change? What is the time limit? Because the other thing too is, if I'm a married woman, guys, I don't want Nala by my husband, like a woman that used to say that she wanted to get men to cheat. Do I want her potentially seducing the men in the church that are, because at some point men, one of their biggest downfalls in church is in one of the biggest, you could argue, sins that men fall for is lust. I mean, what do you think all the simping is from? It's lust. So now you're putting the men in a position where they could fall into that temptation because there's no vetting process to let people in. And, anyone can come in, but don't you think we need to make sure they're serious about this? More than just a class, more than just, because I was talking to someone before the show and they said, like, sorry guys, but I'm going to use this, but I was thinking about this more. They said that, they're in the Catholic churches, and maybe I missed part of it, but like you have to go to a class once a week and study the Bible. And I was just thinking, as a corn star, that's not enough. You got to repent. You got to do something. I don't know what the hell your penance is, but if you've made millions of dollars getting tag teamed on camera, because it's one thing to just go off to college and get banged out at ASU or Mizzou or Texas for like a year or 2 or 4 years, whatever. And it's another thing. It's another thing to do that, to get gang banged on camera. Like, it shows you have no shame. There's no such thing as repent. Hey, call in. So, Doug MPA, welcome to the show. What is your thought on the topic?
So, remember, we were talking before the show. What does a sex worker have to do to show that they are repentant? Remember?
Mm-hmm. What do you say?
On the last page. So, because we were talking about this before the show.
Oh, yeah, that's why I didn't say it because I thought you were going to say it.
Huh?
I said I left it for you to say when you came on.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know if you wanted me to. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
So I say, this is my list, and tell me in the chat, and also call us if you call in. That's another question. What does a sex worker have to do to show that they've changed? So I think that, well, first off, I don't think that any of these hoes can change. I don't think that any of these hoes should be let into the church. But for the sake of this thought exercise, I'd say she has to marry a religious man, have 3 or more of his kids, be a stay-at-home mom, no social media, live 10 years or more of this lifestyle, and then no second chances, any infractions. So that's cheating, provocative photos, just whoring around in general. Like one and you're done.
So the only way she can get in the church is by marrying a guy in the church.
100%.
Okay. Because at least she's providing some value then to the community. She's got skin in the game.
Yep.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think they should just get women out of church, to be honest, if it was up to me. And that the only way in, I would agree with, the only way in is to marry a guy. But whenever you bring women into these churches, they just cause so many problems that if it was up to me, and this would never happen. So this is a thought exercise, but wouldn't church be better if the men went to church together, interpreted the Bible together, and came home and told their wives what to believe?
Yeah.
And you could
I'm pretty sure that happened not too long ago.
Yeah, you could just tell your wife, and then you don't have to deal with your wife saying, the pastor, but because what happens is these women, they use the simp pastors as a way to manipulate the husband. So the women, so what if the husband disagrees with the pastor on an interpretation of the Bible? Then they have to listen to the pastor. So I thought, do you know what? It would be great if we just we don't like church anyway. We like we like the juice at the end. We like the socializing for 3 hours. We like the music. Men don't like that. So I can always tell when I go into a church how much they cater to women by how boring the service is. Because men want to get to the point. So if you ask men, they probably would, except for these influencer guys, they would cut out the religion. They would cut out the show. They would say, let's stick to the scripture and talk about what this means. It's the women that want all that stuff. It just ruins the church. And then the pastors have to start catering to the women because the women are the ones paying. And so my thought is, what if we just got rid of the women? The men could come to church, talk about it, and then the women get nothing out of church except for what their husband says. But that'll never happen. That's not realistic.
The only time a woman steps foot in a church is is when she's getting married.
Yeah. Or if the husband wants her there, maybe that could be an exception. But then maybe, no, but then there's too many simps. They'll take over. No. Yeah. So, no, I take it back. We're going to stay with because if you start bringing them, then the women get together. They form their coalitions. They cheat at the pastor. They take down, they form these women's groups where they just talk shit about their husbands, policemen's behavior, and then nag the congregation. No, it's never ending. Kick out the women. We're too evil. We just have so much evil in us, Not all, YouTube, not all women, not all.
All right, we're going to bring it. Make sure to like the stream, please, and subscribe if you haven't already. We got over 2 million not too long ago. We are on our road to 3 million. It's a lofty goal, but I believe that we can do it. So like, subscribe, share the video. And once again, like Pro said, call in. I see Nia, especially all you ladies, call in. Jessica B, Nia, all of you. We had 3 ladies calling yesterday. That's a record. Let's go for 4 today. Give your opinion. Call in.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna
I don't bite. It's even if you disagree, call in. It's totally fine.
Carlos,
what's going on?
Not much.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking.
So tell me, what are your thoughts? Would you allow a corn star in church? We're going to say corn, by the way, everybody. for the sake of not getting this live stream taken down. So.
And also, if you would allow her in church, what would she have to do to prove that she's accepted Jesus Christ as her Lord and Savior?
Yeah.
You know, honestly, like, I mean, the problem you brought up is a problem because a lot of women go to churches and, you know, that's their landing ground after everything they've done. I'll be completely honest. I don't really blame it on the women. I blame it on the church because they don't hold them accountable. Like, the Bible's super clear about sex before marriage and stuff like that. It's super clear. It's nothing. It's not a mystery or anything like that. But the majority of it falls on the church because it's money. And when you talk about someone like Nala, she has money. So whatever church she's going to, of course they're going to encourage her and all this other stuff because it's about money. And that's what churches are about. It's a business. It's not there's genuine people out there. Like you said, not all women are like that. There are some women that will change, and they do change. But a lot of them, they don't. And inside of a church, sex before marriage it's not something that's really brought up because money's involved. If you tell someone they can't have sex before they're married, they're not going to go to your church.
So what would you do? So I guess, would you allow them in? And if so, what would be the vetting process?
I think, like you said, because you don't know if someone's genuine. And I mean, and it's not religious people that like police over people on what they do in their own life.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, if a woman had a past, like being a porn star, and she had that past, if she wanted to get remarried, she should absolutely tell the person that she's getting married to that this is something that I did. And if that person is like, okay, and they decide to get married and stuff falls apart, he knew about it. So I think that a woman should divulge.
Oh yeah, but the Christian simps, come on. They love these ex-porn stars.
Well, because it's money.
Yeah, no.
It's money.
Yeah, I know, but I'm asking though. So for you would let them in. You wouldn't have a problem with them being there?
It's not that I would have a problem. It's all about actions. And like, you brought Nala up about using her as an example. The word Christian, I've read through the Bible. I know what the Bible says. And when people said that they accepted Jesus and all this stuff, Jesus was a humble person. He didn't want the attention on himself. So when Nala is up here trying to do all this stuff and she accepted, it's all like, it's a show. It is a show. And people aren't able to discern that. And that's like who's that one dude? You had an interview with him. I can't remember. Knowles. His last name is Knowles. That guy. Like, he can't. He's involved in the church. Like, he knows a lot about the Bible, but he can't discern that. And he can't, like, yeah. There's a fine line with being Christian, because the word Christian has the word Christ. So in order to be a Christian, you got to be Christ-like. And everything that Nala's doing, even if she did change, we never know. We just don't know.
Well,
we do.
Action show.
Yeah, we do. We do know she hasn't changed.
I mean, because of her actions.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to say. Her
I'm
actions
asking how long would you have to see the actions changed? And is there something you'd like to see let's say you own the church tomorrow and this Nala comes up to you and says, I want in. What's your answer? You say you have to do X, Y, and Z, or you let her right in? What are you doing?
That was hard. It's because you can't police over people. And as much as we would like to, because we kind of know in our gut that they're doing things that aren't right, it manifests itself. But at the same time, churches won't. There's only been one religion that I've seen that is actually disbarred members from their congregations because of stuff like this. So it's up to the church. And everything manifests itself. It really does.
Maybe there'd be like a hoe concentration camp where they don't like kill the hoes, but like they're like they like show them how to close their legs.
It's a huge problem. Like there's a lot of women out there that profess, like even women that I've dated in the past profess to be Christian, and they want to sleep with me, and I sleep with them first, but I'm like, I know what the Bible says is that you can't. I know what I'm doing is wrong. Do you know what you're doing is wrong?
That's
so.
Awesome.
And I'll be honest, I'm not too proud about that. Like I haven't. I'll be like, I'm a single father of 4 kids. You know, I've dated women and stuff like that. Man, I haven't talked to any women in months just because I'm trying to like put my focus on other things. But
yeah,
it's
4 kids will keep you busy.
Yeah, but you know, that's how I approach women with that stuff. And they don't get it. They think that it's okay that you can just sleep around and stuff like that. It's not. It just isn't. And it's not good for men either. It's the same thing. It's not good for men either. If you want to be a Christian, you can't just be sleeping around with people.
At least
You're
when
not a
the
Christian
men
if you
do it. At least when you guys do it, you own it. You're like, yeah, it is wrong. I'm going to do it anyway, but it is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a woman that I was talking to for almost a month, and kind of came out with my religious beliefs and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I think the Bible's real. It's the most circulated book in the world and survived thousands of years. Yeah, I believe in it. And she was an atheist. And when she found that out, she was like, so you sleeping with me, do you think that's a sin? I was like, well, yeah, it's not. It just the Bible doesn't allow that. Mm-hmm. And she stopped talking to me after that. So that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got a full call line, so Carlos, call it anytime, okay? Thanks
for calling in. I thought we would on this topic, Doug MPA.
Yeah, there's a lot of people calling in, so in the waiting room. Okay. This is a new caller. We have Max. Max Fathom Note Taker. No, you cannot record this meeting. Are you crazy? You know what? Just for that, I'm taking you out. I'm gonna request to record this. Are you crazy? No. It's on.
It's live anyways.
I know, it's live
but
anyway.
That's like that to me, I'm like, what? That's weird.
I know. What is that about? So, yeah, try calling a different day where you don't send a request to do that. That's weird, isn't it, Pearl?
Yeah, it is weird. I'm going to message a couple people on Twitter to call in. I know.
Okay, next up we have Max. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, my Fathom's not supposed to be on.
Yeah, try calling a different day.
Make sure you it's
No. Hey, wait. My Fathom's not on.
Okay.
Your what's not on?
Okay.
Wait.
Next up.
Hey, wait. My Fathom's not on.
Okay. Oh, you are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. My Fathom's not on.
Okay, cool. All right. I guess this is him. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, do you guys got me here?
Yeah, you're in.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Pearl, I'm so glad to be on here.
Thanks for calling in. So what are your...
Absolutely. So I went to Christian college.
Okay.
And I was a total man whore through majority of my 20s and 30s. So
men own it. There you go.
Hey, you know what? For a conversation like this, I thought it was, important to be honest about some of these things. But I totally think it's fine for a former corn star to be going to church. The reality is that is a location for people to improve and to change, and whether or not she has is just for other people to judge her. People go to jail and they go to prison. They do not come out better people. They come out worse because they are hanging around with other people who are not doing good shit. And for Nala, yeah, she did a bunch of corn. She did a bunch of stuff, and I'm sure that for the rest of her life, she's going to have this follow her like a stain on her forehead in a joke kind of way that's also not a joke. But it's one of those things where, she's still actually going out there and telling people to not do corn, which is something that's really great. And for Pearl, for you, I've actually really loved your content because I feel like you help people stay away from these things. They hear the red pill media.
Don't you think what you just said with Nala, her telling people to not do corn, I think encourages more people to do it. Because
they have redemption?
No, because attention is currency to women. So if I know that by doing the wrong thing, I can become like women. So many women want to be YouTubers and media personnel. Like that's like every girl's dream job. And if I can become a Christian influencer and all I got to do is do corn and then say sorry and then now I'm a Christian after and now I get to now I get to nag other people. That's like a woman's dream. That's amazing. You get to have all the fun and then you get to make money off of it after. And you get the virtue signal points of calling yourself a Christian. I think it does more damage. I think it's actually marketing. It actually sends the message to women that don't do that it's like they're not the ones getting the speaking gigs. Like the women that did the right thing got married.
So are you upset about her going to church after, or are you upset about
Did you ever see Nala on the Whatever podcast going back and forth with Andrew Wilson? And Andrew Wilson's like, I will not be preached to by a OnlyFans whore. I won't do it. No.
Yeah, he made that comment about how many dicks were in her mouth or something like that.
Not only do they get the virtue signal, but they're on this, well, a godly man and a Christly man wouldn't say this and wouldn't say that and would accept me. That they try to they'll be able to pull that card. No.
I just think it shows that like you're kind of foolish. And I'm not saying you in particular, but I just think like it's like, how dumb can you be? Like, if you really think that's genuine, you know what I mean? Like, you're basically marketing.
Genuine or not, I think is outside the question of whether or not someone wants to change. Because, you know, the counter argument is, hey, you can't change. Why don't you just order a coffin, put it in your living room, lay down on it, and wait? And that's kind of the message that a lot. I hear a lot of stuff about these women who do these things, and the answer is, you're a hoe. And that's that, and you can't change. So why bother changing?
But that's not what I said at all, right?
I'm not sure.
I said you could. I would love to see some work, and that's again what I'd like to. What I'm really trying to get out of the audience is if she came back 10 years later after she lived in, like, she was quiet for 10 years, she had 3 kids, raised good children, and then came back, okay, I might think it's genuine. Or, I know somebody that's been to like a mission and like for 2 years they lived in the middle of nowhere and just served. I don't know what they do in these missions, but
if you got someone like Nala and she's telling women to stop doing corn, even under the premise that they're now becoming these people who have this currency of being, now in the public eye as currency, I still think it's better if they stop doing corn. I know it's not ideal, but I'm still glad they're stopping.
But them stopping doing corn, they should be doing that anyway, but just leave the church part alone for people that didn't make those stupid mistakes and won't try to. Because here's the thing, we have to accept that most modern women, nothing is more important to them than their own selfish desires. Not God, not family, not country, anything. And these women are using the church to further serve their selfish desires, and we gotta stop letting them do it.
These people need help. They need help, whether or not they go to church, where they go somewhere else. I mean, they're looking for some way to go, hey, look, I need a hand. And for these women who get into corn, I mean, they start at 18. They've got no dad when they grew up. They were abused somehow.
That's
well, maybe not all. I don't know.
You got to
what
stop believing these hoes. Oh, that's not true. That you got to stop. I mean, you got to verify their. I'm telling you, I've interviewed so many sex workers. Lily Phillips, 2 parents. Bonnie Blue, 2 parents. Nala Ray, 2 parents. 6 kids. Pastor's kid. What more could she have? All of the
outside of those individuals,
the top
people who just need help. And they get down the road in one of these situations, whether or not they have good parents or not. The idea that they don't have a place for redemption is not helpful to get them out of the situation.
I'm asking for some work. I'm asking for any verification barrier to entry, anything other than I just have to believe them because they're talking into a microphone and not doing corn after they've made money. Like if she was returning the money, then I might, if she's trying to work back to pay back all of the money she made in sin, but it's like, let me get this straight. You can make millions of dollars and now be a spokesperson for Christianity with doing zero work. And she's missing, they corrected her like 3 times on whatever podcast for saying things that weren't even true about the Bible.
Yeah, that was a pretty brutal interview for her.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
She's worth estimated between $3 to $4 million. I want to see her give all that back. I want to see her study for a couple of years, have a couple of kids, housewife it up, come back in 5, 6, 8 years and then start preaching. But she's already trying to preach to people who've committed their lives to the church and serving God. She's trying to preach to them. It's craziness.
Like, why do they get to preach when there's men and women that never made those decisions? Like, why aren't those people, why are the churches rushing? And I know why they're doing it. It's like the churches are rushing because it's a good story and it gets a lot of clicks and views. They put these people in the front and they don't make them do any work. And in my opinion, it deters people that actually want to learn and are there for the right reasons.
Yeah, I mean, the church in general has become a location that, you kind of hit it on the head. It's a business these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I've actually not liked regarding churches. They act like they're a gateway to actual communication with God, which in reality, they really shouldn't be. I mean, if you want to pray and have connection with God, you can have that without actually having to have someone who's in a little uniform, be that connection piece.
Yeah, so you'd still say no barrier to entry at all? Nothing?
Women are so judgmental already. Churches generally have
no,
people
they're
who just go to
not.
show up. And then there's membership, which are different. And if you're in membership, generally for a church, they are interviewing you on some level to be an actual member of the church versus just showing up to kind of sit in the pews. And people are so judgmental already. I mean, they're going to self-select who they want to hang out with. And I have never seen some of the stuff that you're talking about regarding like these women showing up and, luring other women's husbands away. I'm sure it happens. I've never heard of this in any circles I've ever been in. And, if you want, you go back to what you used to do the Scarlet
half
Letter.
of pastors say they've had emotional affairs, like 50% of pastors, at least emotional affairs. It's like a quarter say physical, half emotional.
Is this one of the interviews? I'm actually asking.
That's self-reported. So it's probably higher. There's so many stories in the news of pastors having sex with women in the congregation, which kind of makes sense, right? Like women love guys on stage. So
I'm going to jump here. What do you think of the 19th Amendment?
Can't talk about that on YouTube anymore, unfortunately. I'd love to. Yeah, that cost me a lot of money. I was unemployed for 1.5 years because of that opinion, so I can't give it anymore.
I hope my question didn't offend.
No, that won't. I just can't answer it. That's all.
All right. Hey, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good one. Yeah, his name changed in the chat. So anyway, guys, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and any other ladies want to call in and give your opinion, or do you know of any friends who are just whorish and went to the church? Because once again, we always say that the church is the last stop on the whore train. And like the video, subscribe, share the video. Up next, we are going to have...
Let's do a couple other YouTubers now and see if any come.
Jake?
Hi.
Hey, Jake. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me on. I'm glad you accepted my call.
Sure. Thanks for coming. So what's your thought on the topic? Would you allow a corn star in church? And if the answer is yes, would there be a vetting process?
Okay, so the question is, would I allow a corn star in church? My answer is yes, but before I elaborate on that, can I please tell you why?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm a former Christian. I've actually been out of touch with my faith for like maybe 5 or 6 years, but I was a Christian throughout my childhood, and throughout my 20s, I used to serve in the church, and I've read the Bible multiple times. And so I actually know what the Bible says. So anytime that I interact with Christianity or deal with Christianity, I interact and deal with on their terms based on their scriptures.
Okay.
So, as we know, I mean, Jesus allowed a prostitute to wash his hair with nard, and he also saved that one woman from getting stoned to death for being an adulterer. And he said, let he among you with no sin cast the first stone. And if you're a Christian, you believe that the only person around who was free of sin was Jesus himself. And when everybody dropped their stones and backed off and left that woman alone with Jesus, Jesus said, "Is there anyone left to condemn you, woman?" And she said, "No." And he said, "Well, neither do I." And this is the important part. He said, "Go forth and sin no more." And so, Pearl, I've been listening to this show, and I really feel like you've been alluding to this final punch to the story that I just shared. I think that, for someone specifically like Nala Ray to get involved in the church, she just has to do her time and pay her dues. She has to do what Jesus said. She has to go forth and sin no more. But then she also needs time and distance from her sin, because we all know she's a sinner, because her sin is a matter of public record, very public record. So I think
I have a question. Would you have the same energy for a convicted child predator?
That's a little bit unfair. And the reason why is because, one, this show isn't about that. Two, I'm no longer a Christian. Three, I've been very specific about dealing with Christianity and dealing with them on their own terms. So as a non-Christian, if we were having a separate conversation about a convicted child predator, my answer is no. But you're a Catholic and I'm not. So we might find ourselves at an impasse.
Well, I'm not that religious. I'm just wondering if you would have the same logic based on what you said.
Well, like I said, I have to deal with Christians based on their own terms because I know their scriptures. And if I were a Christian, the answer would be yes, but only because I know their scriptures, and I would have to, just like you talk about holding hoes accountable, we also have to talk about holding simps accountable, and then we have to talk about holding Christians accountable. Like, well, your Bible says this, so we have to hold you accountable.
Yeah. So if it was up to you personally, what would be, so not based on what they said, but just pragmatically, I guess, what would you say would be the best way to see that her actions are matching her words? Would there be a process you would go through? Anything that comes to mind?
That's a good question. I mean, so if it was up to me personally, I mean, I'm very, okay, so I'm American, and a very strong American value is innocent until proven guilty. So if it's been 5 years since Nala has done porn,
it's not been that long. Go ahead.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I said it hasn't been that long. It was like a month when she started this whole thing. But yeah, go ahead.
You are absolutely right, and that is definitely something that we have to talk about. And you've been talking about that, but she's been on Michael Knowles, and he hasn't acknowledged that. He's treating her like it has been 5 years, and it hasn't. I mean, it hasn't been that long at all. So you're right. You're right. But I mean, if it were up to me personally, and I think I'm answering your question if I remember it correctly. Yeah, I mean, once she has enough time and distance from her sin, and that the amount of time and the amount of distance is subjective. I mean, I'd say, let her in. But to your point, no, it's only been it's been less than a year. It's been more than a month, but less than a year. So no, she doesn't have any business being platformed by Christendom whatsoever.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Well, thanks for your perspective. It was interesting. Call in anytime, okay?
Thank you for having me. Good night.
Good night. Can you hear that in the background, Doug MPA? Okay, people are in the gym, but I wasn't. If you guys let me know if you can hear it, I'll close this door, but I have to get up to do it. These simps would allow, this one made me think of this, would allow a convicted child predator in the church just because they've repented, but in reality, they're just exposing everyone to danger. It's the same thing with 304s. Also, guys, if you want unlimited super chats, there is a chat on the website. Thank you to everyone for being there. There is Joel on the website, Cassie, Lysendia, BDC, Dustin. I love having you guys on the site. It's only $10 a month, so feel free to sign up. We also have a learning community that is in school, so if you guys are interested in that, feel free. That's in the description. Okay, who's next?
We are going to bring up.
Oh, how many children? How many children
man.
have seen Nala's work? She is a PDF.
The legend.
Dustin.
Glenn,
Yo.
what's up, my homie?
Oh, Glenn.
What's going on? How you living, you guys?
Good. How are
we
you?
talking about hoes again? It's
Yeah.
my favorite topic.
Hoes in church.
Yeah.
Man, let me tell you, dearly beloved, let me lay hands on these hoes. Okay, amen. Amen.
So do you think that hoes should be allowed in church? And then if they say they've changed, what has to happen for them to show that they've changed? Because I said earlier in the show, just to reiterate for the audience, that they would have to marry a religious man, have 3 or more of his kids, be a stay-at-home mom, no social media, live that lifestyle for 10 years or more, and then no second chances. Any infraction, cheating, provocative photos, too much social media,
Done.
whoring around, one chance and you're gone, one infraction and you're gone. What do you think?
You know what? It's not going to be like even a decent looking guy in the church. I'm picking the most Friar Tuck looking son of a, you know what I'm saying? I'm making sure, like, I'm testing that faith. Like, did you really love Jesus?
Oh, you
Or are
send a player after that. That's amazing. Eric Wayne. This is why I wanted this show. I was like, because guys think in the most creative ways. Eric Wayne says,
and you know what I'm
damn
gonna do?
late
I'm gonna test
notification.
them randomly, right? Like, I'm gonna send like guys by them like some big old BBCs that they used to, like, you know, mess around with in their videos, and just like in sweatpants, right? And see if they start getting itchy. They start scratching their neck, and they're like, and just to see if they're gonna slip up, because you know, can't trust no hoe.
Eric says, damn late notification again. Yeah, and let him know that one provocative Instagram picture cooked.
Oh yeah, no.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be as modest. All of your attire has got to be as modest as I wore in Catholic school. That's what that would be my.
That Catholic schoolgirl outfit is.
Oh no, we had ugly out. We didn't have skirts. We had pants. They were so ugly, and like a big sweater. Yeah, yeah. Because we had like male administrators, and they didn't want to like be like.
Oh, they didn't want to catch them. They didn't want to be caught up.
Yeah, they didn't want to be caught up telling girls to pull down, because girls always pull them up. So. They just said, like, they had issues with that at my school in high school, so they just said, fuck it, we're doing pants, nothing.
Hey, you know what I got? You know what I got in the mail, Pearl?
What?
It's funny. Since we're talking about this, look what I got from TPU USA, right? They're asking me to help them, keep the legacy alive. And I'm like, motherfucker, you bring in hoes to the Young Women's Leadership Conference. What the hell did Nala teach these women? How to handle a bukkake? How to keep cum out of your eyes? Or how to con a Christian man, make him take you as his wife, and then still thirst trap people while you're trying to make a cake or cinnamon roll.
I think that a better use of her time would be showing these Christian women how to blow their husbands.
You know what shit. Like, I'll be like, you need to teach them how to work with no gag reflex. You got to work out that gag reflex. Like, teach them how to love their husbands and never tell them no.
God. That would actually be way more pragmatic than whatever the hell she said.
I'm serious. Like, hey, you need to teach them how to hop on that D.
So
you know how you do.
Okay, so but what would your process be? So the girl comes to Glenn and says, hey Glenn, I want to join your church.
Yeah.
What do I got to do to join?
Get on your knees. Say ah. If she does, like, you're wrong. You don't belong here. You're just about to just suck the pastor's dick. What the hell's wrong with you?
So you would say.
If she did, she's like, okay.
So if she did it, you would be like,
get out. All the way out. You're fired. No, you don't belong here. You're bad. Not reformed.
Okay. Okay, so you would try to sleep with her, and if she did it,
I'm protecting my flock.
Wait, so are you still gonna, if she tries to do it, are you gonna do it and then kick her out?
Oh yeah, why not? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna repent later, like she would have.
Okay, but let's say she says no, then what?
I'd be like, okay, hold on. Let me get my associate pastor over here, a black guy, right?
You
Just trying to see maybe she's like Doug MPA over here, flavor better.
We bring Doug MP
like,
to test her out.
Got to test it out. Got to make sure that conviction is true.
Okay.
But the funny thing is, like in all this, and I'm joking, doing a lot of hyperbole here, but the problem with Nala Ray, one, how the hell you just come back from like getting like your back blown out and now you're selling courses? You know what, Pearl? We mentioned this grifting shit. We mentioned this grifting off Jesus 6 months ago.
I know.
And you called out my buddy Ruslan. You're like, he's grifting off Jesus. I'm like, why?
Is he going to apologize? Tell him to call in.
Well, I'm not calling him. No.
Call him. You have his number. Call him.
I know I got his number. I'm not. I'll text him. See what he says.
All right.
But the funny thing is, it's just like what this exposes is that any like Protestant or egalitarian or evangelical Christian community is just a safe haven for feminism.
You can't stop it. They love simping too much. These Christian guys.
You know what it is? I think it's like, oh my God, we got that porn star. She's in our church, guys. Yeah.
Well, I think it's because the other guys, they banged a bunch of hoes, but so they're not really like enamored by them as much. If you bang like 50 hoes, they're not going to get anything on you. But if you never bang the hoes, then they still got power over you. You
think about this. It's like these guys that are in the church watched her porn, right? Watched her do all those strange things for a piece of change. Mm-hmm. And they're like, I wonder if she still does that stuff. Pastors, you need to keep it. We gotta bring her into this church. We gotta love on her like Christ did. Mm-hmm. No, Christ didn't love him on her like that. And somebody mentioned like the chick that was gonna get stoned. Let me give you guys some historical context for this. Mm-hmm. The reason why she was not stoned, because according to the law then, if they were caught in the act, you didn't just stone the woman, you stoned the guy too. Mm-hmm. Who was they stoning? The woman. Well, where's the guy? That's why Jesus was like, okay, he with that sin, go ahead, cast the first stone, because he's pointing out that the guy is in the crowd with a stone in his hand. He's ready to throw a stone.
Oh, and he was banging her?
He's like, shit, bitch, I'm not going to keep you. You're a loose end. So.
Based. Sorry.
People like, oh, well, he just forgave her. No, he didn't just forgive her. He did, but he also is pointing out that they're not even obeying the law that they're saying that they live under.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to it there. But what's funny is that I'm wondering what church is she under this covering? What covering does she have? What biblical or denominational covering does she have to offer these courses? Right? Like, and what is she really going to teach these women?
It would be more honest if she did a course on how to suck dick. That would be more honest.
That would be based.
I would prefer that. Yeah, I think that'd be great. How to be your husband's corn star. That would be a great course. That would be.
Yeah.
If you want to make it a Christian spin.
First Corinthians 7, where it says, "Not deny your husband," right? Sexually. So how to not deny your husband sexually and be his personal cum dumpster.
Yeah. She learned a lot getting banged out on camera, I'm sure, about what men like.
And, she probably knows how to fake it really well, too, to the point where, like, her husband doesn't even know whether she has an orgasm or not. He can't tell because she's so good at pretending.
Yeah. All right, Glenn. Yeah, great contribution. Doug MP, you got any other questions for him?
Yeah, I put odds are her husband is such a simp that she's given half of California everything, well, her whole body, but he gets cold fish, freaking lay there sex, missionary only.
Ooh.
Watch.
Do you think like he gets like, just like barely covered? She's in a nightie. She's not even wearing something sexy. She's wearing like an old t-shirt, right? And like, and she just lays there like this.
I bet he barely gets a hand ski, bro. I bet.
Dustin says Anala is only allowed in the church if she gives her content to the Lord, allowing men to see it for free. #charity.
Charities.
Right. Here's the thing. Like, I wouldn't even ask her to give the money back, because if she's already making money grifting, she's been grifting for the last year. Hardcore. I'm sure she made up everything that she was claiming that the IRS took from her, and some, so like, I would be like, you know what? You want us to believe you? Cool. I want you to stop bragging about how much money you made when you were on OnlyFans. Because every time she talks about it, I was one of the top creators. I made $9 million, $14 million. Yeah, I did that. Yeah. I want her to stop bragging about it. If she really had shame for what she did, that would never be what she led into the conversation with.
Yeah.
But every time she's like, look, yes, I was a good hoe. I took it in the back door, the front door, all the doors, on the flow, and some more. Like, give me some more. Like, she bragged about it all the time. So I'm like, oh, so your conversion is more about you than it is about God. You're still talking about your hoe ways.
I want to read, there's like a bunch of super chats. Doug MPA forgot the most important thing. She needs to shut the fuck up.
Yep. You can shut all the way up.
Let's see. No women in church, Jason says. It's as if Nala's message was, don't worry, do corn, then go to church and still get attention teaching others about being virtuous. Pearl, would you do an X space about the 19th Amendment? Maybe, actually. Let's see.
Okay.
Hold on, I got
it. Her husband actually played a good role.
Hold on, guys.
Like,
I want to finish the supers. Hold on. Nala
Okay.
even made a big public happening out of her baptism. It's all about attention. Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you want to know who the modern day Hosea is in the Bible, it's her husband. So Hosea in the Bible, God told him to go marry a prostitute, right? And he's like, God, man, why, God? Yeah. So, anyways, Hosea is Nala's husband. I'm gonna start calling him Hosea. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for calling in, Glenn. We got a full line of callers, so we're gonna go to the next guy.
All right. Take it easy, guys.
Have a good one, buddy. All right. Like the video, guys. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share the video. Thanks for all the super chats so far. I really appreciate it. Good to see all the regulars in the YouTube chat and the Audacity chat. Next up, we have... There's two Benjamins, but this one is the Benjamin with the last name. Benjamin...
Swedish house boss. Call in, man. Talking all this trash in the chat. You better call in. Tell me.
Benjamin Denagian? Benjamin Denagian, you're on mute. Benjamin Denagian, you are on mute. Benjamin Denagian going once. Now you're off mute.
Hello.
There you are.
Hey, Benjamin. How are you?
Hi. Hello. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
So what do you think about the topic? Would you allow a corn star in church?
That's a great question. I was thinking about this. I've been a Christian for a long time and former missionary overseas and things like this. And I have one of the reasons why I would say I'm a bit of a manosphere red pillar, because I had the kind of typical story you guys talk about with the divorce and child custody and things like that, from being church folks to divorce to custody battles, and you don't see it coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's as awful as everybody talks about it on the internet, of course. So the question about like prostitutes or porn stars being allowed in church, I was listening, and the gentleman has a good point that perhaps they should be married to somebody who's in the church already, that vouches for her. And that that will never be a thing, but I see why that something like that makes sense. And I recently, they call it converting. I don't particularly like that, but from a Protestant post-divorce to now Eastern Orthodox Christian church. And it's completely different than Protestantism, let's say, in terms of social reasons, social circles and things. And I think there's a story about Saint Mary of Egypt in the Orthodox tradition, Saint Mary of Egypt. And she was a prostitute. She started as a prostitute very young. And then she tried to make a pilgrimage, not for religious purposes. She was trying to find more, see if this doesn't ring true. She was trying to find more people for business, let's say. So she joins this pilgrimage to go and try to find more more bodies, let's say. And she, as the story goes, she tries to enter the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and her conscience wouldn't allow her to do it. She felt so much remorse for her lifestyle that she actually went out into the desert and became like a nun, I would say, if that's the right term, a nun, for many years, and refused to go to church, anything like that, until she got her heart right. And then years later, I think it was 47 years later, she ended up becoming like a saint later on. But this is different but similar. The years ago, and it still happens, there were very famous like musicians, things like that as soon as they became Christian, the Christians picked it up like, oh, this person or this musician or this lead singer or this TV star become a Christian. And then all of a sudden they have platform to tell people about Jesus and his teachings, and they get on TV and radio stations and all this stuff, and they have no time in the trenches in Christendom. And also those people have a much different life than normal people. People like musicians, rock stars, famous TV personalities, corn stars for that matter. They're in a completely different category than most normal people. They have more money, they have more resources, they have platform already, right? And so that's nothing new in terms of famous people getting bumped to the front of the line.
Yeah, but you're talking about like famous people. We're talking about whores over here, though.
No, 100%. Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I mean, should they be allowed in church? I mean, who's to say? Who's to say?
I'll say it. No. Who's to say no? That's not how we roll over here. We want a yes or a no up in here.
Right. Okay, I see. Well,
so yes or no?
If a yes or no, I would say no. But I mean, I just I would love to hear more on I suppose why. I think I know why they probably shouldn't be, but.
Well, I say, especially modern women, there's nothing more important to modern women, especially whores, than their own selfish desires. Hence why they're a whore in the first place, especially these OF models, right? Nothing's more important to these whores than their own selfish desires. So you're going to let a person has a track record of only putting themselves and what they want first into your church. Therefore, they will use your church to further their own selfish desires. So why let them in? And then you're destroying the integrity of your church because there are people. Look, you have to choose to be Christian and accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. When you do that, you have to choose to live by those rules. You're going to devalue what that means by letting in a woman who made millions of dollars off of OnlyFans. You're going to let her into a place where there are people who practice their whole lives? No.
Yeah, absolutely. I see what you're saying. This is something. I love the topics, and I love, I know Pearl talks a lot with like people of Catholic backgrounds and things like this. And I think these are fascinating topics with, let's say, this is probably a crude way to put it, but like Protestantism versus Catholic versus like, let's say, Orthodox. And something that I'm very fascinated by is how, from what I gather, the Catholic and certainly the Orthodox Church, there are tons, and I think this happens for social reasons first, and then it becomes spiritual reasons later, I think. But how many men are coming into the Orthodox Church, young men, single men, and I mean, by the droves, right? You guys all hear some of the same stuff that I do. And I think it's very interesting that, kind of to your point, sir, the women are not coming. So the male counterpart, there's really not a lot of pair bonding going on. It's either people that are already married with kids, or it's just tons of single men.
I don't see a difference. I grew up Catholic, 12 years in Catholic school. Those hoes are exactly the same. In fact, I can say so much that I had Catholic school speakers growing up. We had chastity speakers, and it was the exact same story. If you look up like Jason, I'm not Orthodox, so I can't really speak to that. But like, if you look up Jason Everett, Christina Everett, it's the exact same thing. It's like a couple, guy waited, girl was a hoe. Now they may have a speaking career off of her being a hoe, and now a hoe no mo.
So, I'm sorry, Pearl. So just so I'm understanding, you're saying it's the same thing in the Catholic Church? Is that what you're saying?
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I've heard maybe at like some more like the Latin masses are a bit more strict, but one of the worst divorces I ever interviewed was like from a Latin. It was actually the same church Michael Knowles went to, like the exact same church in California this guy was from. Yeah, so I think women are women. Hoes are gonna hoe. Sure. And if they can go into any, like, hoes are gonna just find any place with sexless men. So like that's why they go to anime conventions, and the church is like perfect for them. Like any place they can get a bunch of attention and get worshipped from men that aren't getting laid.
And they always find an aspect of it to utilize to wield power over those men. Once again, Andrew Wilson was on whatever and told Nala, I will not let OnlyFans whore preach to me. It's just not going to happen. Right. And Nala is going to use everything she can about the church to wield power over men.
Right.
No. Don't even let her in.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So let me ask this, because I'm curious. If you can humor me, if you can't, I understand.
You got like 30 more seconds, then we got to move on. Go ahead.
Sure. I just wonder if with that Catholic or Orthodox component, with women not coming to church as much as young men are, I'm guessing there's going to be like an 8 to 10 year, maybe not that long, lag time before women start coming in. And when they start coming into the churches, I'm wondering about down the road what that will do to like the Catholic and Orthodox or more traditional churches.
They'll ruin it.
Is that going to buckle the?
No, they'll
Is that going to buckle
ruin
the system?
I think we'll see. Don't the Orthodox? Don't you have female priests, or haven't you guys had a few?
No, never. No, Orthodox. I mean, I can't speak for Orthodoxy. I'm not a priest, but no, in Orthodox
female
Eastern Christendom.
bishop.
I'm sorry.
I swore you guys had something. It was like a bishop or a deaconess.
If so, I'm unfamiliar.
I think it'll happen in our lifetime. Any place that lets women in, they just ruin. They just ruin.
Anyway.
It. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just very curious about.
I could be wrong. But
in the future.
Okay. So. All right. Well, thanks for calling in.
Thanks, you guys.
I wish they were different, but that's just not what I've seen. Sorry. Thanks for calling in. Can you check if Sarah's in the waiting room? I sent this one girl in.
I don't see a Sarah in the waiting room.
No problem. What about a Matt?
Oh yeah, I'll bring in Matt.
Bring on Matt.
Matt, are you there?
Yeah, hi.
Hey, Matt, how's it going?
Hey, Pearl, what's going on?
So the topic today, we're talking about corn stars in church. I can't say it. And we want to know if you would allow, if it was up to you, would you allow a porn star in your church? And if so, would there be a process to make sure she's genuine? And what would it be if so?
So I'm gonna give an example. So I said previous times on the show that I would want a OF model or person to marry a religious man, have 3 or more kids, be a stay-at-home mom, no social media, no dressing provocatively, just to live this lifestyle for 10 years or more, and then like no second chances. With one infraction, it's all over. Go ahead.
Whoa, that's pretty steep standards you got there.
I say just kick him out. I just say no.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
so would I allow them in my church, like if I was a pastor, or I'm just like another person at the church?
Either
Would I want
or,
them
just if it was up to you. If you got, if it's Matt's world, we're just living in it. What are the rules you're setting?
Yeah. So, well, if I'm going by, if I'm going by Turning Point USA standards, they actually kicked out a porn star back in 2021. I don't know if you remember that. Brandy Love went to one of their events, and she wasn't even speaking at the event. She was just there, and they surrounded her with a bunch of bodyguards and kicked her out of the event. Now, fast forward to 2025.
What happened?
And they just had a women's leadership summit, and they had a porn star speaking at the event, not just there, but invited to speak and paid to speak at the event. So what changed in 4 years, right? But the difference with the porn star who they just had was she gave her life to Christ and became a born again Christian. So that just wipes away all your sin. So I think the problem that we have in today's society is that, if somebody can do the most egregious, heinous things in their life, to include, being a porn star. I think people.
Could you say corn star? Just see.
Porn star.
No, corn.
Oh, I can't say the actual word?
Yeah,
it's YouTube.
Oh, corn star. I didn't mean what I said, I swear.
Fine.
And I'm going to correct you. Women can do whatever they want and go to church and get a second chance. Most of the time, men can't, but women sure can.
No, men can't. Men are, yes. Well, there's 2 different sets of rules. So anyway, if you give your life to the Lord, then it erases all your sins, and then I guess you can speak at conservative Christian Turning Point events and things like that. So there's all kinds of different rules and different standards going on. If I'm actually going based off of theology and what the Bible says, then I would have to invite all porn stars into my church, because I think Jesus came to save everybody. He came to give everybody a second chance and a third chance and a fourth chance. And
have you tried
if you're dismissive
saving these hoes?
What's that?
Have you tried saving these hoes?
Well, the big problem is that the hoes and the corn stars, they all think they're Christians. So they all think they're already saved. So Christianity is actually morphed into, essentially like you go to a church. There's a church by me where I live. Like you go there, it's like going to a strip club. I mean, it's all like the girls went out Saturday night, and they're all stumbling into church, and it's crazy. Like, these are girls who party and girls who do OnlyFans, and like those are the people in the church. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's insane. So, and there's different kinds of churches now. Like there's all kinds of different churches that are more conservative, more orthodox and traditional. There's a lot of churches that allow now like transgenders and gay people, and then the rules are a little bit loose. So, yeah, I think, that's a tough question. Like, okay, so if I was the pastor of the church, I mean, I would probably want everybody. I probably wouldn't discriminate. I'd probably allow everybody in, but if we're talking about marriage, or something like that, that's a whole different issue.
No, I'm asking. But how would you deter them? Because what corn stars tend to do is they find communities of sexless men. So, for example, there's a reason that the top OnlyFans model uses Spider-Man. Like she wears a Spider-Man costume, or like they go into anime events because there's a lot of sexless men there. So they employ the same strategy with churches, because obviously there's going to be guys there not having sex. And so they can get
Well,
like
that's
the attention.
fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting perspective.
Yeah, so
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, well, the number one, just so you know, the number one OnlyFans customer is white married Christian men. Like that's
Really? Wow.
Yeah, because think about it. Christian women, they've been taught to weaponize sex to get what they want since the time they're young. Like,
Yeah, so true.
Yeah, what does it matter when you have sex with him if you just don't leave and you get married eventually? Like, no, but it's like, give me the commitment forever in exchange for what? Sex with an average chick most of the time. It's a tough deal.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys bought that for a millennia. but anyways, so
crazy.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. But yeah, so and the other thing, that's a great point. And the other thing that they sell is that they're virgins. They all say they're virgins, right? Or they have an extremely low body count. Obviously not the corn stars, but like the OnlyFans girls, like this one you're talking about, it dresses up like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But I can't believe she's making $43 million a year. I mean, that just sounds so insane.
Yeah.
So insane. But then again, I was watching this CBS story that they did today where you have men now are in relationships with ChatGPT, like the voice from ChatGPT. They're like dating the voice and they just talk to ChatGPT all day. And like, it's literally ruining marriages. So like
women are
insane.
using it too. They use it as therapists. So
Yeah,
we had one
exactly.
guy call in earlier and he said what he would do is find his best looking friend in the church and try to get him to smash the girls to see if they're genuine. You know what I mean? Like get like a Chad, he said he'd send Chad first, then Tyrone, then Gloctavia, and see if they cave. And I thought that was an interesting strategy. So would there be any strategies you would implore to like vet the women before they get in?
Well, I don't think it would be very difficult to make them cave. It's not difficult to make the people who actually think they're Christians and not corn stars to cave. I mean, they all cave. I mean, even the most traditional conservative, Christian girls who wear 4 crosses every day, even those girls are totally fake. And if you press hard enough, you eventually get them to cave. So,
How do you know, Matt?
Everybody. I plead the fifth, but trust me. And so, the point is like, if you push these girls hard enough, they all cave. I mean, they're all frauds. I mean, they all say that they're virgins, but none of them are virgins. They're far from it. And, what's even more wild at the end of the day is that they've all been brainwashed to believe that the Bible even says anything about not having sex before marriage. It doesn't even say anything about that, anywhere. Like Jesus does say something like, if you've even basically had the thought of looking at another person, then you've committed adultery. And it's like, well, then you start thinking like, did he even say that? And if he did say that, like, that's ridiculous. That doesn't even make any sense because everyone's committed adultery. Like, we might as well give up, right? Like it's an impossible standard to live by, that if you even look at somebody lustfully, that you've committed adultery. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of misinterpretation of the Bible, and there's lots of preachers who are just saying, they're making stuff up and they're brainwashing these young girls. I mean, look at this Turning Point conference the other day. I don't know. I mean, you were posting a bunch of the clips. Like, they're brainwashing like thousands and thousands of young teenage girls and turning them into monsters. Absolute monsters, just giving terrible advice.
Oh my gosh, do you know what's crazy? The other show, because like Charlie Kirk's wife, I'm predicting a divorce in like the next 5 years because she keeps signaling purity, and I was just interested. I'm like, where did she go to college? Guess where she went to school? Just guess.
To go to Arizona State?
Yeah!
Of course. Of course.
And I was like,
it's like
Charlie,
the biggest party school in the country.
Yeah, and she was a model who traveled the world for being hot and did like competitions and met him at like 31 or 32. Which I'm like, hey, I'm not going to tell you who to date or marry, but don't you dare signal purity to me, bitch. Like,
No, Exactly. They're sending these young girls. They're giving them a bad messaging.
I'm like,
really
that
bad
girl's
messaging.
banged a celebrity. I don't know which one, but she's hot enough to get in the door. I'm like, I don't know who. I guarantee at least a C or B level celebrity. I would put so much money. You traveled the world doing beauty pageants. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they're totally fraudulent. They put on a show. I mean, she's getting up there in front of thousands of young girls, telling them that, she hadn't had sex until she met Charlie. Like, come on, just stop it. Just stop it. Like, nobody's actually believing. Well, I'm sure they are, because of course they're believing it.
Yeah.
But like, none of us are believing that.
You went to Arizona State. Like, you couldn't have went to Liberty University or something. Like, could you at least sell me on this a little bit?
It's a good cover.
Yeah, like, I'm not saying, like, there's hoes there too, like, but...
No, they're everywhere. And so like, it's conferences like that. It's these youth groups around the country and these pastors who are making stuff up and they're brainwashing all these people. And I'll tell you what, like, then they get into marriage and you think the guilt would go away. It doesn't go away. Like, even in marriage, a lot of these girls have guilt about having like sexual relationships.
I don't
with their
think so,
husbands.
man. No, not in this day and age. I don't think so at all. I really don't think so. I think that the modern woman, they feel so entitled that, and once again, it's their own selfish desires, man.
But you don't think WMPA, the girl you told me about, that like was in that cult for a long time, you don't think she could struggle with that? Do you know what I'm talking about? I think that's what he's talking about.
I'm talking about, like, the pure fundamentalists who who really believe that, like, you got to stay pure till marriage. Like, they truly believe.
Oh, I must have missed that. Sorry.
Yeah. Like, even when they get married, they have a hard time like letting go. It's almost like an imposter syndrome when they get married. Like, I can't believe I'm married. I can actually do whatever I want now.
Yeah, Matt. But I told Pro a story. So I met this girl online one time, and first off, she was into K-pop, so that was a red flag. But second off, she was in her early 30s, and when her fourth day on college campus, when she left home to go to college when she was 19, she met this Christian fundamentalist group that was like, literally, Jesus is coming any day. So from 19 to like 31, she was literally like hyper Jesus. And she was, okay, so she left that behind because she realized, I mean, it's been how many years? And when I met her, she had only had sex with one person, and she met that person online. So she met this guy online, and like, that was her first experience. And she looked back on that whole time that she spent in that fundamentalist group with regret, because they literally tell you every day, oh yeah, Jesus is coming, and be ready and save yourself for your husband, and this, that, whatever. And it just never happened.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, Jesus has not come back. I mean, he said that not a generation will pass before the end of time, and many generations have passed. So I don't think he's coming back anytime soon, if ever. So people are going to be waiting a long time. It's just insane what people believe, and
and
not to get off track.
Some of the women, I'm like, I'm sorry, you're not hot enough to get a guy to wait till marriage for you. You're just not. Like, you could pull that off maybe if you're like. It depends how dorky you want to go, but I'm like, if you want a decently good-looking guy,
yeah, but like,
you
but
gotta
so
be
what's
at least,
happening now,
you gotta
though,
be at
is
least a
like
7. Like, come on. Like, sorry, go ahead.
Well, yeah, like, so if you grow up, if you're a female and you grow up with this stuff, and you go to a Christian high school, like okay, so now you're starting to have those sexual urges around 17, 18, 19. And then you're telling yourself, I can't do it until I get married. Well, then what are you going to be forced to do? Kind of like rush into marriage with somebody now, right?
Yeah.
Well, nobody's getting married anymore. Like, not until like their 30s. Like, I think 30 is the average age now. So now you can't find anybody. Men are definitely not getting married anymore, like in their early 20s. And so like, you're kind of left in like this pickle, this predicament. And so you're not going to be able to find any high quality man who's going to date you without having sex at the same time. Like, it's a losing proposition.
No, you're completely right.
Right.
Yeah. No, do you know what? I went into a non-denominational church for like 2 years. And do you know what made me leave? Was I went on this like Christian retreat in it. And I was like 23 or 24 maybe at the time. And I saw the women that were like 10 years older than me, and they hadn't had sex in like 5 years. And like, or something crazy like that, a lot of them. And they were just still single. And I was like, maybe I don't believe in God as much as I thought. I just wanted a boyfriend. And I was like, I'm leaving. Because these girls were so weird. And I was like, I don't know I was like, this is not because what would happen would be there'd be like 5 guys in the church that women liked, but they would marry like pretty much the hottest like / most feminine women. And like the mids are just cooked because they don't like the mid guys. And plus the church guys were kind of weird. Like they're super simps. So, cause they all put up with this. So like, who's going to put up with that? Super simps. So it's like, yeah, it's a losing proposition.
Yeah, and what even makes it more wild, more than anything, is that everyone's playing a psychological trick on themselves, because what they believe in is not even in the Bible necessarily. Like they literally have to play biblical gymnastics to get to this place in time where you think you can't have sex before marriage. Like it literally doesn't say that necessarily. But they want to believe it for whatever reason, and they feel like they're going to burn in hell if they don't do that. But they can be a bad person, right?
Yeah.
They can be a bitch. They can talk behind your back. They can lie. They can cheat. They can steal. They do all these things. But oh my God, the one thing you can't do is have sex before marriage. It's like, are you kidding me? What are you talking about? It's just this mass manipulation.
Yeah, it takes the burden of performance off women, because the burden of performance for women is to keep the guy after sex. Like that's our burden of the same way you guys it's to get laid. That's your burden of performance when it comes to relationships and like sex. So it basically says the only work you have to do is not doing something. It's just not doing something. And do you know what I'm saying? Like, so it doesn't say if he's mad when he gets home and he's had a bad day at work, don't try to comfort him, leave him alone. Like that's an example of something you can learn being in a relationship. But it's like, they just say it's like something not to do. Does that make sense? Like it's not doing something, It's just not doing something. Although I guess the example I gave wasn't the best, because it's kind of the same thing.
I understand. No, for sure.
Yeah.
And people, but what they're not doing is one of the most natural things that we were literally created to do. And so fighting that urge is simply pointless. I think better advice for young girls would be, a different kind of approach, which is just relax with your list of things that you need in a partner, relax with your red flags list, relax, be patient, give a guy time. The first red flag that you see on a first date, don't run, don't block them. Give him a chance. Give men a chance. Relax with all your rules, all your religious rules that you have, and just enjoy life. Don't put so much pressure on yourself, because you're driving yourself nuts at the end of the day.
Yeah, and the other thing too is you might get pumped and dumped. It might happen.
Yeah, that's
you know
life.
what I mean? Because they live in such fear of that, but it's it might happen.
Yeah, it really is. And, for the people who want to stick to these crazy rules, good luck to you. Good luck to you. But I think those people are that they're probably fading, I would think, this younger generation. I don't know if they're still buying this stuff. I don't know. What do you see from your point of view? Or are young people still into this kind of crazy?
No, I mean, there's a decent pipeline for people into a lot of these churches. I guess less people are going to church, but I was just at a wedding a year or two ago, and I met a 30-year-old alleged virgin. I'm sure she's blown somebody or something, but even so, at third, you're still going to be messed up at 30 if you haven't had sex. That's the other thing. If you meet women over 25 that are virgins, they're really weird. and not in a good way. Guys always think of this cute, awkward thing. It's not cute. I don't know if you've met them. They're really weird.
Yeah, no, and also like during biblical times, people were having children at 13 and 14 years old. So like you were losing your virginity like very early on. Like you were dead by 35. So there wasn't like you weren't a 35-year-old virgin. You were dead. Like the life expectancy was like 30 years old back in antiquity. So like, it was much different. So you're listening to this book that says, you can't have sex till you're married, but like we live in a different world. So like, the same rules don't apply, even if you did believe that's what it's saying, which it doesn't. But it's a much different rule or it's a much different era in terms of humanity. Like people are living longer. You can't get married at 13 and 14, right? So the rules are just different. But people still want to cling to the past and cling to these, fundamentalist type beliefs, which is insane. But in terms of like the corn star thing at church, I mean, I don't know. All the girls who I've seen at church lately are, pretty much, they may not be like corn stars for their profession, but these are the party girls, like the party girls and stuff. They all go to church now.
It's the last stop on the whore train.
Well, yeah, they're probably like they don't know a thing about the Bible.
I think Nala,
they couldn't tell you one verse, but they go there because it's like you know what it is. It's almost like a social thing now because like if you're 30 years old and if you're in your 30s and you're still single and you're still trying to find a guy and be married, like the next natural step for most of these people is like, oh, let me go to church and see if I can meet somebody. And so you have like all these like hot young or not but single girls in their 30s going to church with their girlfriends. And it's become like a social thing. They don't know a damn thing about the Bible, nor do they care.
Nala would have given a better speech if she said this is how to give good blowjobs. That would be more useful.
What did she even talk about? I didn't even listen to it.
Just
I feel like I would have lost brain
do
cells
corn
listening
anymore.
to her.
But I'm like, do you know what? Whenever you see a woman who's like an absolute bitch and you can't figure out why a guy is dating her, when you really peel back the onion, it's always that she gives good blowjobs.
Well, I'm sure. How long was she in it for?
That gives some women rings. So,
oh my God.
I have a friend. I have a guy friend, and he's a very successful guy out of San Francisco, and he's made like millions of dollars selling stuff online, whatever. And he said there was a girl he hooked up with that was like an absolute whore, but she gave very good head. And he's like, do you know what? Because everything else in my life is taken care of, I can hire a cook, I can hire this, I would marry her. And I was thinking when you were talking, I'm like, you could marry into $1 million for that one skill.
Oh yeah. Well, and many men make the wrong decision of doing that because it's got to be about more than that. That's for sure. Or else you end up in big trouble.
What's the difference? Big trouble. The TradCon women, even the women they have stuff in common with and whatever, doing the same thing. He's like, I might as well get my nut.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
That was his thought process. I'm not saying that's the right one. I'm just saying that's what he said.
It certainly is a thought process, and people have certainly done dumber things. I mean, people literally marry, some of these corn stars and OnlyFans girls and things like that. I mean, what a mistake that would be to marry an OnlyFans girl. I mean, what a disaster. You know what the thing is now too is that like, there's not for most of these girls, there's not a man in the world who could give you enough tension and enough love and enough of what you need to fulfill you. Mm-hmm. And so they really do need that like satisfaction from social media or OnlyFans. They need like one man or one man's like is not good enough. They need thousands of likes, millions of likes, mm-hmm. right? And they need millions of messages to tell them how great they are. And like, so men today are just drawn dead. Like it's hard to please a girl in today's society because they're getting dopamine hits everywhere on the internet. And so men are just, they're having a hard time out there. I think it's rough.
I agree.
Yeah, it's rough out there. Maybe we can teach them about Jesus. I don't know. See if that makes a difference, but it doesn't seem like it. It does. It seems like all the big whores are in church actually, or pretending to go to church.
Do you want to tell the story you said on the space the other day, or no? You don't have to.
About
you don't have
about
to.
what's her face?
Yeah, about what's her face. I think it's kind of.
Oh no.
Okay.
I shouldn't.
Okay, no
shouldn't tell
problem.
that.
You don't have to.
Yeah. She already blocked me. I don't know what that's all about. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just minding my own business.
I gotta thank you though. That got her to leave me alone.
Oh really?
Yeah, she hasn't
Good.
bothered me since because of that. So I do thank you for that. As soon as I tweeted that, yeah, she didn't. She.
You're very welcome. Yeah, she's one of a kind. She's another fraudster.
Yeah.
She's a big fraudster, but there's lots of them out there. Like, and you've got good intuition. Like, if you think they're a fraudster, they are. They pretty much are. If they give you that vibe, most of them are. Especially if you've got 6 crosses hanging around your neck. I mean, that's the best.
The diabolical one is when they have a cross with their tits out. I'm like, can you pick one?
Oh my gosh.
Can you? Well, the person you said does that all the time, or the person we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. The other one is the White House girl with the press. She starts bragging about her press pass. I'm like, this is diabolical. You got your boobs out with your cross on.
Is that Natalie girl?
Yeah, and I really don't mind, to be honest. Like, I'm in entertainment. So, like, there's a place. Like, I brought girls with tits out on my show all the time, and I would want them to come on because they had there's a place for this stuff. But the place it's not is with the Jesus cross on. Do you know what I mean? I'm not against putting the slutty girls on the shows or whatever. This is entertainment, right? But...
Well, there's a couple problems. Like, number one is, what does that cross even really symbolize anymore, right? Like, if that cross is symbolizing literally God, right, that came down as a human and died for your sins, should the symbol for the creator of the universe or God's son be hanging in between your cleavage? That's the question. And it's probably no. You probably shouldn't have that there in between your boobs. And then I guess the second thing would be like, what does it mean? Because if it doesn't mean that, then what does it mean? Is it just like, does it mean you're part of like a club? Does it mean you're Republican or you're conservative? Or does it mean like, oh, I can be your friend or you can be my friend because, we both wear crosses. It is almost like a cultish thing. Because people wear crosses. I don't even think they even know why they're wearing them at this point. But in terms of that girl you're talking about,
they are cute.
The White House girl, like, she's constantly like just half naked. It's pretty wild. But I also don't know who she is. I'm like, why? Like, why are you talking to me about politics? I don't even know who you are. Right? Like, where do these girls come from?
My favorite is when my favorite's when they talk about war.
Oh,
and I'm like, you don't even understand violence. Like, what do you know about what we should do in the Middle East?
Oh my!
Like,
how about the last 4 or 5 days with this Iran-Israel thing, and they're trotting one hot girl after another on TV to talk about like all these pro-Israel stances, and I'm like, first of all, who are you? Like, you don't know what you're talking about, and also like, okay, if you love Israel so much, then go fight over there. Like, go sign up. I mean, if you love it so much, like, go
do it.
And I know they won't, but like, I don't even know who these girls are that they're bringing on. I was watching, was it Pierce Morgan? I was watching his show, and he had some girl on there who was totally pro-Israel. It was crazy. But that's what they do. Like, because again, it's entertainment and it gets ratings.
The blonde, right?
Oh, Emily, is it Emily Austin? I think is her name.
Yeah, I think that's her name. Yep.
My God, she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. It's wild.
Emily,
Totally
let me
wild.
look her up.
She
Even
doesn't
like
have to. She's one of those blonde, somewhat attractive, conservative, fake TradCon talking heads. They don't have to know anything.
even like Candace Owens, I'm like, Candace, didn't you just have a baby? Like, what are you doing talking to?
Yeah, well, I mean, she's all over the place. She's got her money now. She doesn't give a damn. She's
Her husband's worth $100 million. Candace Owens doesn't have to do anything she's doing. She doesn't.
Yeah, and so it's a great place to be in life because like you can say whatever you want. You just can't, like, if somebody cancels you, doesn't matter. She's too famous really to be canceled at this point. And so it's kind of a cool place to be. It's like Tucker when he was interviewing Ted Cruz. Like Tucker's at that place in life as well, where he can just say whatever he wants. So Candace is kind of in that zone. Like Candace Owens, like 2 years ago, was totally pro-Israel.
No, women
right?
always do that. They're always paid by somebody, and then they always turn on the person that paid them.
It's freaking crazy.
Like,
I know. They should have a disclaimer, like who's paying them, for their opinions, which they never do, of course. But she's totally flip-flopped on all of her opinions.
I know.
I remember she was on Joe Rogan, I don't know, whenever 5-6 years ago, and like they were talking about Christianity and the Bible. And on his show, she like didn't know anything about Christianity, wasn't a Christian, nothing. Now all of a sudden she's a devout Orthodox Christian. It's like, where'd that come from?
I don't know. She's Catholic. Can you?
Catholic, whatever. But it's good for her brand, to be associated with the cross and Jesus, right?
I know she's got it like in her background, and like it's just so.
Yeah, it's and you can go on and on down the list. I mean, just turn on Fox News and look at any of their female anchors that they have.
You guys pray in private? I don't mind if you guys join a church, but like, if you join a church and the first thing you do is bring it on your Instagram, it just makes me a little skeptical.
What, bragging about joining a church you're talking about?
Yeah, like, do you know what I mean? Like, go pray for a couple years, and then in a couple years come back and tell us about it. But like,
Yeah, it's part of the grift. It's a grift at the end of the day. You only brag about it if you're trying to get people to like you more, maybe, to fit into a particular crowd, to get attention for maybe changing your ways in life, being born again, right?
Yeah.
Turning away from your sin. That's kind of like we enjoy that as Christians. It's like, oh, you're saved. It's so wonderful. Now we can hang out.
Yeah, I know. Now you're part of our group. It's just like,
now you're part of our clique. It's like the corn star who just spoke at Turning Point. Like, she was not part of that clique, and now she is. Now she has a bunch of new friends, right? But like, why? What actually changed? The only thing that changed was she said she was a Christian. Like, nobody really even knows. And then what does a Christian even mean? Like, if I got 20 Christians in a room and I asked them all, what's the definition of a Christian? I get 20 different answers. So like, what does it even mean to be a Christian? Also, is the thing. And so everyone's got their own definition. And, but even you see it with like the Trump movement and the Republican Party and conservatism and Christianity is almost like merged. They've almost morphed into one. And so like that whole movement in the past couple of years has really attracted like all the really slutty, hoary, good-looking girls that might have been Democrat or might have been something else before, but they've all kind of united under this umbrella. And part of that is, it's this Christianity thing. So, what do you got to do? You got to join a church to show that you're part of the club. You got to wear a red MAGA hat to show that you support Trump no matter what. You got to be conservative, whatever that means, even though, being naked is not very conservative.
But if I notice it, I'm the bad guy. I'm like her tits are out, and then conservatives are like, it's not that slutty, and I'm like, what? Guys, come on. Well, thanks for calling in on this topic. You brought a lot of good points. I think we have another caller on the line, though, so I think we got to get to the next one.
All right. Thanks, Pearl.
But call in anytime, okay, Matt?
Okay.
All
Take
right,
care.
Bye.
Thanks.
Ooh, what a good call.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that guy out.
Yeah, he's I think he's in political stuff. I don't know what. Laura Loomer knew him.
Okay.
Did Sarah come on or no?
Who?
Sarah?
I don't see a Sarah in here anywhere.
Yeah, she might not have come. I sent her a link.
Okay. What a couple of more, because I think we're past the 2-hour mark. I think we're like 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, if you stuck around this far, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. We really appreciate it. Thank you for being here in the chat and YouTube, and thank you for being in the Audacity chat. Make sure to go to Pearl's website and join. It's only $9 a month. You get unlimited super chats and all your comments read over there. And thank you for everyone that has super chatted so far. We really appreciate it. Let in. I can never say his name right. Lech Walisa. Lech Walisa. Go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me? Sorry, I had to pause.
I can hear you. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
So what do you think of the topic? Would you let a corn star in your church? And if so, would there be a vetting process?
Yeah, so I think this, so the simple answer is no. But I think this points into a greater issue. So I have a very nuanced view because I consider myself a feminist in many ways, but I'm also very academically Christian. And by that, I mean, I grew up in Christian, and then I went to Bible school in college. And then afterwards, I went deep dive into the Bible and considered becoming a pastor for briefly. So the biblical view is that you should be accepting of everyone. And you should always show grace. And example would be like Les Miserables, where there's scene in Les Miserables where there's a guy who just got out of prison, Jean Valjean, and a bishop lets him into his place. And then Jean Valjean, like that night, is like, oh, there's a lot of stuff I can steal here. So he steals a bunch of the silver. And when he gets caught, the police ask the bishop, like, hey, do you know this guy? He says that you gave him all the silver. And the bishop says, yes, that's exactly what happened. I gave this to him, and he actually forgot to take the silver candlesticks. And then when Jean Valjean asked, why did you do this? And and the bishop said, well, it's the right thing to do. I pay for your grace. So I think like that's a mentality you should approach with everyone. Mm-hmm. The problem is with OnlyFans and with how people, they have a very different view of sex and this type of morality approach. So Nala, for example, she sees herself as perfect, like holier than thou, holier than pretty much every pastor, really, everyone. And her view of it. And that's incredibly terrible. And I think it's not enough to just not allow not allow these people in church. It could even be healthy to every now and then bring in someone like this, so you can actively figure out who within the church will be supportive of this, and then actively shun those people. I think that's a healthy thing to do.
Okay. Cool. Doug MPA, you got any other questions for him?
I do not. Lech always comes on here and gets straight to the point.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much for calling in. Okay, call in anytime.
Thanks for having me.
Cool. Then we're gonna get to Rodolfo. He's in the Audacity chat, so I'd like to have him come up. Rodolfo, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing great. Yourself?
Good. What do you think about the topic?
Man, listening to everybody, I was like changing my opinion here, back and forth. Because, it's more feelings than logic. because I don't know if you guys watch Star Trek, but you got to be a freaking Vulcan with all this, like no emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was to give my answer. I mean, obviously, if I would say no. I wouldn't allow them in my church. And what helps me come to that decision is that Paul was writing to one of his churches and said that there's a guy inside your church who's sleeping with his aunt, and y'all need to kick him out and leave him out there until he's done with it. And there's more context to it, and you kick him out of the church and let the devil have his way with him, and then whenever he's that's done, then he can come back. So, and like I tell my girlfriend, like, we've all killed context, and that's what matters. Because when you're asking this question, a lot of us just want to go into our sympathy, but we're not realizing that we live in a different. I mean, you said it before, but we live in a different world now. And back in the day, we weren't connected as much as we were now. So you could be a guy in Nebraska, but somebody you do something embarrassing and someone catches it on camera. Someone in Hawaii is going to find out about you, or in Russia, right? So if you're choosing to live in sexual sin, it's going to be harder for you to escape from that reputation, because there's pictures, there's digital text message, there's emails, there's a footprint no matter where you go. But back in the day, you didn't have that footprint, so it was easier to escape your past and change for the better. But now anybody can just bring it up, and you have to be you have to have a really strong mindset to stay to your decision. But as far as the not letting the corn star in the church, like I said, it's easier to maintain a city, a town, and all that when there's few people. But when you got millions of people living in a city, you just can't control it. So you do have to pick the corn stars out, and eventually they'll find a church that will take them in. But that church is going to be super rough on them. But not any church should be accepting everybody that comes through, like you said, the child predators and all that, because there's so many people that you can't control all the members and get to know them and things like that. So you have to stop it right then and there, and that's where the church starts. Right, it's from the community. It's a small number, and then it gets gradually bigger and bigger because people get married and have kids. But when you're talking about these cities that have millions of people and they're all going to the same church, well, they're just all going to see a concert. They're all going to do something. But how many of them actually do events for their city, like cleaning up, paying off people's debts, or helping the homeless? Like, you never hear about that. You just hear about them having this worship singer there, this evangelist here, but you never hear them doing good works. And I think that's why a lot of churches are dying now, is because they're not really they're just getting fat, but they're not really doing anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're just wasting their time watching TV and just, buying this lie, but they're not doing anything for their neighbor. They're not
the community. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I went to, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Like, if you saw Nala being really involved in your community, like help, like baby, I don't know, you probably don't want to leave your kids with her, but an example I'm thinking of is like babysit, like doing things for free in the community, really helpful. I don't know. You can fill in the
I wouldn't
blank.
trust it.
Yeah. Okay.
And
but
I'm not calling her it, but
I just meant like if it would be a little more believable if there was some works, like anything.
Oh, you know what's believable? Cleaning the toilets.
Yeah, there you go.
Stacking up the chairs, washing people's cars away from people. Because the thing about sexual sin is that it's like the Bible says to run away from it. It's that dangerous. And because once you do it, it's kind of like being a kid and growing up. You love parties, but then when you're an adult, you have to realize that you're making the party. You have to plan the events. You have to make the food. You have to clean up afterwards. But as a kid, you just go to the party and have fun. But, once you have sex, you're an adult. You know what the world's about now. You're not an idiot anymore. because you can get pregnant, you can get an abortion, the person dies or something, or they abuse your kid out of spite for you. There's so much that comes with having sex that's when you turn from a child to be an adult, is that you're taking on responsibilities that a child shouldn't. And we forget that in this world, that because there's a lot of people that complain about not learning about good healthy sex education in schools and whatnot. But it's because you're a child. You're not supposed to know that stuff until you have a job, or not have a job literally, but like you're not supposed to know that stuff until you're shown that you can take responsibility. Because if you're having sex, then you're an adult enough to handle your own life. What do you need your parents around for? What do you need school for?
Yeah.
Grow up. You're a big dog now. Well, go on, be an adult. And like the other guy said, we're living a lot longer now than we were before. So, but we forget that. And so people think that their decisions aren't permanent. So it is sad to say that I wouldn't allow the porn star in, but at the same time, they made that decision that will scar them for the rest of their lives. So, what am I supposed to do? Clean up their mess after them? I got my own people to look after. I can't handle you now.
Yeah.
And if you're serious about your life change, then, eventually I'll see it. But I can't just believe you off the rip because you told me a couple words. Like, I really had to see it.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was my favorite answer we got today.
Yeah.
I think that was my favorite
I'm on a roll.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite one. Doug MP, you got any other questions for him?
Nope. Rodolfo, always good to talk to you, man.
No, I appreciate y'all.
Thanks for calling in.
And we're going to do one more because this is another guy that's always he started off in the YouTube chat and then he's in the Audacity chat. This is the first time he's been on.
Cool. Who is it?
Omni-Man, are you there? His audio's connecting. Omni-Man. Omni-Man, are you there? It says you're not on mute. Omni-Man, you're on the show. Omni-Man, going once. Omni-Man going twice.
Am I on mute now?
Oh, he made it.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hey,
Hi.
How's it going? Nice to meet you.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, it's my first time on the show. I will make it real quick.
Sure.
I don't see any problem with ex-sex workers or corn stars joining the church. Just give them some rules. It's pretty easy.
Sure. What are the rules that you would give?
Well, just basic, simple stuff like keep them away from the men. Shut up. Maybe that's the most important thing. I don't know why she has to get any more attention by preaching and being virtuous. Well, do not sin any further, maybe. That's about it. You don't have to be too harsh, I guess.
If you caught her sinning, like if Glenn came in and sent Gloctavius and he smashed, would you kick her out, or would you give her another chance? Like, how strict are you going to be?
Well, there has to be some limit, I guess.
So if Gloctavius and Daquan smash.
Well, at some point you have to show some consequences. You still want to be taken seriously, don't you?
Yeah. Cool. Doug MP, you got any other questions? Or sorry, if you have more, feel free.
No, that's about it. I promise to keep it short.
Yeah.
You got any questions?
It's good to talk.
Oh, go ahead.
No, it's good to talk to you, man. Because Omni-Man, he started off in the YouTube chat, and now he's in the Audacity chat, and he always beats me to the first post in the Audacity chat now.
With my LFG.
Yeah, it's great to meet you.
Yeah, I'd like to call every now and then, but I'm calling from Germany, so it's very, very late, and sometimes.
What part of Germany are you in?
I'm from Munich.
Oh, okay, cool. I lived in Hochstadt for like a summer, if you know where that's at.
Yeah, I remember you saying that you have been living here for some time.
Yeah, like a decade ago, not recently. Cool. Well, it's cool that I have people watching in Germany. So thanks for tuning in and calling anytime.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks. Keep up the work. Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Good job. Been following
talking to
you
you.
for a while.
Cool.
And then, okay, we have to do one last call because Eric says he has a different perspective. So we're going to give Eric, we're going to give you 4 minutes because it is late where I am. We're at 2 hours, 30 minutes. So Eric, go ahead. Eric, we can see you. He's probably listening to YouTube again, and there's a delay. Eric, you're on the show. Eric, I can see him. I see him fumbling around. Eric going once. Eric going twice. And he'll have to call in next time because
Sorry, Eric. Okay, well, this was a fun show. I think we gotta have more of these. That was a fun show. I liked the show.
I'm still glad that you and I agree on a hard no. There are just certain, you can't just accept everything, man. No way, especially with the motivations behind modern women. There's certain things that you can come back from and repent from, but if a guy touches children, don't let him in your church. If a woman's a sex worker, don't let her into your church. It's that simple,
Murderers.
And the fact that knowledge,
I don't want someone commits murder even on accident. I don't really want them in our church.
Yeah, yep. So I'm glad that we're in agreement with this. It seems that a lot of the callers were kind of there was a couple that said, "Oh yeah, come as you are." Yeah, have fun with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even really want women in the churches because they just ruin them. Just every time. But okay, I'm glad we agree on this. And thanks so much for giving me your opinions, everybody. I love getting a big diversity of opinions on the show. Even if you disagree, feel free to call in. It makes the show better if I have a back and forth with someone, even if it's a little different. This isn't, the call-in shows are meant to be a conversation, not hostile. So don't worry about it. Make sure you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel. And also, if you want to go to pearlinvite.com for our members only community, that is going to be a learning community. And next month, what's the course? I put in my notes today. We're going to do a course on mental models that can help you in a modern world. So Terrence Popp is going to help us do that, and a couple other people I'm talking to about being in the course. So if you're interested, go to the school community. Otherwise, get on the Audacity chat, and you can get unlimited super chats and get access to all my old content. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.